Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Arrow. A great episode. A lot of stuff went down in this episode. So obviously in this episode, we got the different people, the different groups. Obviously, Renee's come back to the team, so Dinah and Curtis are a full team again with Renee. And you have John making his moves, or you also have Oliver making his move. Everyone's making separate moves, yet everything kind of comes together because they're all kind of attacking Diaz from different angles. They attacked, Renee and the others attacked Diaz from his old gang, the Scorpion angle, whereas John attacks from the new angle of like the Quadrant, because they have information about like, oh, that's who he's joined, like he's allied himself with. And so their attack because we end up finding out that Star City is actually being used as a way station. It's like they're going to funnel all their weaponry and stuff that they're selling through it. So that's kind of like Star City's purpose from this point on. Because I thought that was so interesting when the lady, because we found out her name, one of the Quadrant members, Lydia, once she attacked the Scorpions, because I was like, I saw people coming, I was like, oh, they must be with Arcus, but I was like, no, they're not dressed like Arcus. So like, who are they? It's like, why would you be attacking the Scorpion? It's like, well, to be fair, it's because you want the Scorpion, because Scorpions are the biggest distributors in Star City, so you want their pipelines. For one, they're the ones with all the weapons and stuff, so you want to take all their shipment, because because they even bring it up in the episode. It's actually kind of interesting because basically Diaz squashes the old gang he used to be a part of. So for one, he's wiping out competition, but also opening up new avenues. Probably because all the connections that the Scorpions have, Diaz has too. So now all those connections, all those pathways, all those routes and people they're connected to that they know, it all belongs to him now. So Diaz is a ruthless SOB. I wonder, it's probably might have been Lydia's plan, but I kind of get the feeling like, let's not forget the last time we left off with Diaz, he was explaining his entire plan to everyone, so. And that's the thing you immediately see in this episode, especially when it comes to Laurel, which I thought was so nice, because I've commented on it last episode, especially with a lot of stuff that he did, like Laurel kind of looked away, and especially because this episode, like the way he's kissing her and everything, I was like, oh, that turned into a relationship, and I think it kind of fits it that better way too, because it's like, oh man, they're in a relationship? It's like, not really, it's more like because I'm sure in Laurel's case, it's kind of like she's legitimately with him out of fear. So it's almost like she's more like his property than his woman. It seems like that type of thing, because even she kind of turns a little bit away when he kisses her, which is something I brought up too. It's like, even as bad as Laurel is, even she admits it, even to Quentin, that she is terrified of Diaz. Like, she actually legitimately looks sad when she goes to Quentin because Diaz wants to talk to him. Obviously for Quentin, it hits him hard because it's like, you've been lying and manipulating me. Does it make you feel good to know that you use him, a father's grief of his daughter to use him? But for Laurel, it's like, I don't care if you hate me, do what Diaz says, because like legitimate, and it's something she brings up. Like she said, I've worked with a lot of men who've been angry and who've been filled with hate. Diaz is a whole nother lead. It's something I commented on last episode. He literally, and she comments on it too, he literally burned a dude alive because of a grudge he had back in the day. It's like, yes, that dude was a piece of shit, but it's years later. It's like 30 years later, and you burn him for that. That is crazy. Like, you hold like Diaz, like, doesn't care. He will burn and break everything in his path. He is literally a man just, if he can't have it, he will break it. It doesn't matter. He wants to make sure no one has anything and he has everything. And it's just crazy. Like I said, this is an enemy that they have never really come up with, because every enemy before is, yes, Damien Dark has wanted to kind of take over the world and stuff, but he had his rationale to it. It's like, Diaz just, I want it all. And if it's not mine, and if you don't comply, you die, I break. Like, it's like, he's on another level. Like I said, he almost has that street thug mentality to him, but he is a deadly opponent, not to be underestimated. He isn't just some random, like thug. There is a lot more to Diaz in that, so. Like I said, the best word it can be used is legitimately petty. He is very petty, and he does not care. Because that kind of flows into Oliver and Anatolia's story. Like Oliver went out of his way to make sure that Anatolia could come back to the Bratva. And that's what Anatolia wanted, but he decided, like, no, I can get a lot more from Diaz, which is like, you understand too when he brings it up. It's like, I've literally dedicated so much of my life to the Bratva, and what do? The moment like a little slight hiccup happens, they kick me out. So it's like, is it even worth it? At this point in time, it's like, I can be worth a lot more with Diaz, which Oliver tries to tell him he's a man without honor. But it's even interesting because he kind of like throws in Oliver's face. It's like, you really believe that the reason why Diaz has beat you is because you were alone, because you were so concerned about all these other people that you built a team, that you're not handling this alone anymore, that they distracted. He's like, now you're even bigger fool. He's like, and that says a lot coming from me. And I think maybe that kind of got Oliver thinking a little bit, because it's like, having friends isn't a distraction. They have people have your back. Like, you wouldn't, like, legitimately, if it wasn't for a team, he wouldn't be where he is right now. Like, that team has kept you alive. That team has kept you strong through every adversary that's come your way. Whether it be Malcolm Merlin, whether it be Slade, whether it be Ra's al Ghul in the League of Assassins, whether it be Damien Dark, whether it be Adrian Chase, all those enemies fell before you because you had your team to back you up. And like, you know, you can, like I said, you can understand why he's doing what he's doing, because he's so lost right now, and he thinks that this is the only way he can get the mission back into focus. But nevertheless, but I had a feeling like everything Oliver was doing, like, turned, like, I was like, oh, you expected things to play out this way. So it's most likely, okay, so he's tricking Anatoly into bringing him into to Diaz. But it's like, no, there's more to it. Basically, he wanted Anatoly to see what kind of man Diaz is, because Diaz beats on him even though Oliver's chained down, not a way to fight back. And Anatoly, what are you doing? Like, where I come from, it's like, when you fight someone with honor. And it's like, basically saying life is unfair, because for him there is no honor in all this. Like, he will win by any means necessary. And he's like, okay, Oliver, I'll give you a chance. I win, you leave. You win, I leave. Sound fair? They fall. It was a bloody hand-to-hand, and it was like, yo! Like I said, Diaz isn't no pushover when it comes to a fight, but Oliver had the upper hand, was like, yield or I'll break your neck. What does Diaz do? Pull out a knife and stab him. And it's like, what? That was the most punk move ever. But at the same time, that's just kind of, like I said, it kind of describes him as the dragon, just because he's like, what kind of fits with what I was talking about before. Dragons will burn everything down in front of him. And that's kind of what Diaz is willing to do. That anger inside of him, that fear that he's turned into a dragon. Like, because that's something that Anatoly was basically talked about. Like, every bit of blood you spill of Oliver's, like a man who's unarmed and chained and can't fight back, is a drop of your own fear, which Anatoly doesn't, Diaz is not like being told that he's afraid. Because for him, he feels like he's faced his fear and come out stronger. That he battles with his fear, you know? So that's a nerve that gets struck, so. But Anatoly figures it out. He's like, that's what this whole thing was about. You got captured on purpose so that I would see what kind of man Diaz is. Because even Anatoly is having hesitations about working, because it is a situation of, if you don't do exactly what he says, if you kind of like step out of line, Diaz will kill you without hesitation, you know? So even if you don't underestimate him or not, Diaz is legitimately, best way to describe him, crazy. So then there's also like, well, things kind of blow up in Diaz's faces a little bit, because his operation was stopped by Argus, John, and I don't know what you call them, non-Team Arrow, essentially. And I like what they're doing for Renee too. Renee is back, he's in motion, but then he starts having flashbacks. And I was like, oh, is it specific? I was like, oh, is like everything that's happened to him over this course of time going to affect him? It's like, not necessarily specific. Well, yes and no. Basically, he's having PTSD. Sorry. Basically because of everything that's happened, and now it's kind of seeping in, because it's like, man, I can't lose Zoe. Like, I've been in position too much, and now he's finally got Zoe back in his life, and he's like so scared that he's going to lose her forever. I'm sure in the past, like, it never really crossed his mind, because Zoe was kind of such a far off thing, and probably in his mind it's like, Zoe's better off without me. But now she's back in his life, she's right there. It's a tangible life to have with her now, that it scares him, it terrifies him. He even asked John, it's like, how do you do that? But John compartmentalizes. It's like, I do the job that needs to be done. I leave daddy at home, and then I do what I need to do, and then I get back home. So, like, you know, he doesn't like concern himself about it. He kind of shuts that side of himself off in a way, which I guess the same argument could be made about Oliver. Reason why Oliver is able to do what he does is he compartmentalizes. He kind of shuts away Oliver Queen while he's out there being Green Arrow. But it's something that Renee can't 100% shake. But you do have Zoe kind of being like, it's okay, Dad. He's like, what? No, me and Uncle. It's like, nah, like, him and Dinah actually talk a lot louder than me. He's like, wait, what? What? Actually, you know what? I hear it now. Which is like, yeah, she's not stupid. She's like, I know you guys go out there in mask and beat up people. It's like, but she's like, yeah, I'm scared, but at the same time, it's like you taught me not to be afraid, to face my fear, be brave enough to face my fear. So she's like, she's a little scared about it, but she knows what her dad is doing is to make the city a better place. So she can't fault him or won't stop him for that. So it's kind of interesting because you have Oliver having William's blessing to kind of be the Green Arrow. Now you have Zoe give Renee having Zoe's blessing to kind of be Wild Dog, which is, I think it's kind of a nice touch. I did appreciate too that this episode did kind of bring back John and non-Team Arrow because he apologized to Renee and Renee kind of accepted the apology. I don't know at this point, like, I think if Oliver did apologize, like outright apologize for everything, I think it'd be weird and awkward, but I think legitimately they would forgive him. Like even Renee, I think, because I think Renee is also in another position too where like, I think he can see things kind of the way Oliver might have seen them too. Like, obviously, because he's obviously directly in Oliver's situation, hence why he turned on Oliver in the first place, But maybe Oliver kind of taking blame, taking fault, because even Anatoly like said something. He was like, you want to say I have no honor, but the reason why I'm like this is because you betrayed me first. We're only here because you betrayed me first. So it makes me wonder, could that be something Oliver ends up taking to heart when it comes to the whole other team? Like, will he ultimately apologize because it's like he broke their trust first, no matter what the situation it was. If he had confronted them first, none of this would have happened. So that could be something, that Oliver ends up growing from this about, I don't know. Or is he going to be dead set on being Team like Arrow by himself? I don't know. Because you had that crazy ending where like Oliver is basically being arrested because obviously Diaz controls the entire system and literally has like, that's how he's going to deal with Oliver. It's like, you don't have to worry about me killing you. I'm just going to basically send you away to prison, which most likely Diaz is probably going to have people in there who beat on Oliver continuously, which people are probably already going to beat on him a lot too, especially with everything saying he's Green Arrow. So whether or not that's true, obviously we know it's true, but no matter whether it's true or not, he's probably going to get the crap beat out of him because of it. Nonetheless, there will be attempts on his life. It's like, oh, there's that mayor, there's the Green Arrow. So there's that. Also really quick, well, I'll go ahead and bring it up, but it's like, it sucks because it's like, oh, we'll see whether the justice system will benefit Mr. Queen. It's like, no, it won't. Because literally everything in the justice system in Star City is stacked against Oliver. Like, it's like he's even moving up Oliver's trial. Like, I want to see where the hell Agent Watson is. She must come in at the last second to help with the situation. She might ultimately be the one they end up turning Diaz over to. I don't know. But it's like, dude, come on. Like, everything is stacked against Oliver. Like, every person of power is under Diaz's control. So it's like, no matter what goes down in the court system, even if the jurors, for whatever reason, side with him, they're just either going to be people that Diaz planted in himself or he threatens them. So it's kind of like Oliver is damned in the next episode. I don't see things turning around and working out in his favor. Like, he's kind of screwed in all departments. Interestingly enough, too, this episode also had Mayor Quentin, which I thought was kind of interesting because it wasn't even like a big part of the story, seeing him kind of being brought in. It's like, no, it's just kind of Oliver threw that out there like 2 episodes back. And then it was just kind of like, oh yeah, it's a thing now. So it's like, that's interesting. Because I had a feeling for Diaz, it's like for him, it wasn't the whole like wanting that building thing. It wasn't like, because I was like, oh, they never explained what building it was. Because for him, it was never about the building. It was just knowing that he can control Quentin. And for her, and Laura was like, well, what if he did sign it? If bam, it stabs a knife. It's like he would have killed Quentin without hesitation. Because if I can't control you, once again, I kill you because I can't have anything not under my control. I guess that kind of feeds into his whole thing too, because like I said, he kind of has anger issue, kind of has outbursts. Like he has a lot less control. He doesn't have a lot of control. You even saw those moments when Oliver was talking to him. It's like, come on, I know you can do better than that. It's like, because he was antagonizing, Diaz, because that kind of shows you like Diaz is like you said, he has an angry streak in him and he lets his anger kind of get the best of him from time. He, like I said, from time, like this entire time, he's seen like calm and collected, but as time is going on, we've seen that side more, especially in the episode literally dedicated to him, last week's episode. Like you saw like how angry he can get and out of control. So Once again, befitting the name, the dragon, and everything. Which also I want to point out too. Once again, doing that whole thing with the whole intro. This intro 100% only contained Oliver's arrow, so not even like reading out the rest of the team. It's just because he is the solo, going at this alone. But it's definitely going to be very interesting to see where the next episode takes us with all of this, because you do have Quentin and Laurel being like, hey, we're going to work together. Like, we're going to have each other's back. Because I think Laurel never knew how and why Laurel died in this world. It's like, she died because I worked with Damien Dark and he killed her as punishment for me betraying him. Which is kind of like talking about Laurel's situation too, because Laurel like doesn't want to betray Diaz because she knows he'll kill her. And it's like, I'm not willing to let another Laurel die again, so... I was so hoping that they would make reference to the whole Laurel situation in Central City, but I guess we don't know how close Central City and Star City are. I mean, the way a lot of stuff kind of makes it is just kind of like, oh yeah, it's over the bend. Like, everyone makes that joke about, like, what was it, The Dark Knight Returns? Was that it? The third Christopher Nolan Batman movie, where it's just kind of like, oh yeah, literally Metropolis is right across the bridge. Like that, there's that whole joke and everything that people like make fun of about that whole movie situation. So is it the same thing with Star City and Central City? I doubt it. I mean, for Barry, it most likely is, but for anyone else, it's probably not that close of a trip. But nevertheless, but on top of that, everyone saw it at the end. Felicity and William, John and Curtis, Renee and Dinah all saw that, like him being arrested and being tried. Now, they might have their opinions, they might have their problems about this whole situation, but even they know. Even if Oliver, they don't like him as like a team leader, even they have to admit, man, Oliver's being railroaded here. So I'm curious to see what they do, because it hits John too. Because John never wants, like, no matter him and Oliver splitting paths, he didn't want things to kind of come down to this. So no matter what for him, they might be down different paths. Oliver's still his friend, and he's still like a brother to him. So he's probably going to try and do whatever he can. Quentin's going to try and do whatever he can as mayor. Like I said, I'm very curious to see what Renee, Curtis, and Dinah do, because I think they're mad at Oliver, but I think even they will try and do whatever they can too. Because it's interesting too, because it's going to be interesting too, because Renee kind of put him in this situation. He fed into this whole thing by letting things kind of get this far, by being the one to kind of, so that's probably going to be something that comes up in the courtroom. I don't know if necessarily Renee's going to be called to the stand, but maybe we'll have a situation where Renee kind of looks at Oliver and ultimately decides not to do it, because he'll look and see William in the courtroom and it's like, no. I just got Zoe back, so there's no way I can do this to Oliver. Like, his son is literally right there. I'm not about to do the same thing to Oliver that, I'm so worried about happening to me, leaving my child without a father, It's already sucky because William still has Felicity, but still, like, he doesn't have, like, his mom and his biological mom. He doesn't have Sam anymore. Just like for Zoe, the only person she has is Renee. So, like I said, this was a great episode, and I'm super excited to see what goes down in the next episode. We've only got like 3 episodes left this season, because this is like episode 20, so... yeah, 3 episodes. It's going to be exciting to see how this all plays out, but especially what goes down in the next episode with this whole, like, trial. I mean, who knows? Maybe the next episode we never actually get to the trial. Maybe there's, like, other stuff going down, and maybe it's not till, like, the episode after next week's episode that we actually get the trial. But I don't know. Ultimately, we'll have to wait and see. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.